Welcome back to another class. So today we'll be looking at converting from other bases to base 10. So last time we looked at converting from base 10 to other bases. Today we're looking at converting from other bases to base 10. Now our steps that we have in converting from a given base to base 10, we first multiply each digit by its place value. Then we find the sum of the products. Then we move on to the sum of the products in the base equivalent. Right. So when we talk about base 10, we have to look at the place value. Since we're going to have to multiply each digit by its place value, we're going to look at each of the bases place value. So base 10, we have ones, tens, and hundreds, and continuing, right? However, in base 2, we have, in base 2, however, we have units, which is 2 to the 0. Then we have twos, which is 2 to the 1. We have fours, which is 2 to 2, and continuing. Good. All right. So in base 5 now, we would have, in the unit slots, we would have 5 to the 0. Then in our other slot, we would have, so let me write that, 5 to 0. In our other slot, we would have 5 to 1, which is what we call 5s, and then the other one is 5 to 2, which is what we call 25s. And yes, you guessed it. So if it's in base 8, it means that we are going to have 8 to the 0, 8 to the 1, which is 8, and then 8 to 2, which is 64. So yes, once you look at it properly, you will realize that basically all we're doing, so for the 2 to the 0, any number raised to the power of 0 is what we call 1. So if it's 2 to the 0, it is 1. If it is 5 to the 0, it is 1. Any number raised to the power of 0 is 1. Very good. Now, basically, if we are doing 2 to the 2, this means 2 times 2. Very good. If we are doing 5 to 2, it means 5 times 5, which means 25. So that's where we get the 25s from, and so on. Good. All right, so now let us now look at converting from base 2 to base 10. So we're going to do an example. Now you are given 1001 in base 2, and you're asked to convert that number to base 10. So the first thing that we're going to do is multiply each of those digits by its place value. So we're going to write out these numbers first. So 1, we're going to multiply it by something, plus the 0, we're going to multiply it by something, and then plus, I'll write down the 0 again, times, we're going to multiply that by something, and then we have another one, so it's plus 1 times, and we're going to multiply by something. Good. Now, what would we multiply this by? We're multiplying by its place value. So if we look here, we want to find out what is the place value. What place value is the 1 in, right? The place value is in the 2 to the 0. This one is in the 2 to the 1. This one is in the 2 to the 2. And then this one would be 2 to the 3. So it means that this one here would be multiplied by 2 to the 3. Then the other one 2 to the 2. Then the other one 2 to 1. And then the last one is 2 to the 0. So we would have 1 times 2 to the third power plus 0 times 2 to the second power plus 0 times 2 to the first power plus 1 times 2 to the 0 power. Now we want to move on. So we're going to now continue. So we're going to simplify. Good. We're going to simplify, and we're going to simplify 1 times 2 to the third. What is 2 to the third power? Remember, 2 to the third means 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 is 4 and 2 times 4 is 8. Very good. So we have 8 plus, and we have 0 times 2 to the, sorry. So we have 0 times 2 to the 2. What is 2 to the 2? 2 times 2. So we get 4. Alright, very good, very good. Now we have the next one. 0 times 2 to the 1. So 2 to the 1 is just 2 multiplying 1 time. So that would be 2. And then plus, we have the last one. 1 times 2 to the 0. And we say 2 to the 0. Anything raised to the power 0 is 1. Very good. Now here we have 1 times 8 plus 0 times 4 plus 0 times 2 plus 1 times 1. We're going to continue to simplify. 1 times 8 give me 8. 0 times 4 give me 0. 0 times 2 give me 0. And 1 times 1 give me 1. Now I am finished simplifying, so now we're going to write down our answer. Now what would my answer be here? 8 plus 1, 8 plus 0 plus 1 would give me, correct, 9. So 9 to base 10. And you don't have to write the 10. Remember, when you're writing base 10, it's like normal number, so you don't write the 10. We're now going to look at a example in base 5. So we're going to move from base 5 and we're going to base 10. So we're going to write down our example. And our example here is 2, 3 base 5, and we want to convert that to base 10. So again, the first thing that we're going to do is multiply each digit by its place value. So we're going to write 2 times, and we're going to multiply that by something, plus 3 times, we're going to multiply that by its place value. Now we're going to figure out the place values over here. So when we look at this, 23, so it means that this would be 5 to 0 and this would be 5 to 1. Very good. So it means the 2 will be multiplied by 5 to 1, and then the 3 will be multiplied by 5 to 0. Very good. So this is what we have so far. Now, what is 5 to 1? Very good. 5. So we have 2 times 5, and then we have 3. And what is 5 to 0? 1. So now we have 2 times 5 plus 3 times 1. What is 2 times 5? 10. And then we add 3 times 1 give me 3. So that gives me 13. So 2, 3 in base 5 is 13. Alright, on to our final example. And this is going to be from base 8 to base 10. And we're going to do 107 base 8. We're going to convert that to base 10. Now, the first thing that we're going to do again is multiply each number by its place value. So it's 1 times, we're going to multiply that by something, plus 0 times whatever we're going to multiply by, plus 7 times whatever we're going to multiply that by. Very good. All right, now what are the place values that we have over here? We need to figure that out. So we're going to go over and we're going to write them. So this is going to be 8 to 0, 8 to 1, and 8 to 2. Good. So it means that here we are going to have 8 to 2. Then we're going to have here 8 to 1, and then over here we would have 8 to 0. Very good. Now we're going to simplify. All right, so we're going to simplify. So what is 8 to the second power? All right, so it is 8 times 8, which is 64. Very good. Right, kids. All right, now we have 8 to the first power. What is that? Very good. 8 to the first power is 8. And then we go on to 7 times 8 to the 0 power. What is 8 to the 0 power? 1. Very good. All right, so now we're going to move on. So 1 times 64 would give me 64. 0 times 8 would give me 0. Then 7 times 1 would give me 7. So it means that I am left with, what is 64 plus 7? Very good, 71. So it means that 107 base 8 converted to base 10 is 71.